What we do know is intellectual property development, particularly patent applications, enables valorization, enables commercialization of intellectual property. We know that companies themselves are starting to protect their own intellectual property, partly in order to protect their inventions, but also to think about cross-licensing, because that's almost going to be inevitable within the quantum technologies field, as it is, for example, in the telecommunications field. We're also seeing that RTOs, research and technology organizations, are filing an increasing number of patents, partly to license out to other companies, but also to enable formation of startups, for academic startups from their institutions, which I think is also an indication that there is more interest in the commercialization of quantum technologies. I think that we're, particularly within the telecommunications field, for example, we're seeing an awful lot of cross-licensing in order to be able to, so that telephones, telecommunication equipment, computer equipment can talk to each other. And we know that the policies for protecting protocols, communications protocols, is well established within the patent offices. That's not a problem. We know that the development of quantum chips, the hardware behind it, are well-established policies, for example, with semiconductors. The challenge, I think, is going to actually come with quantum algorithms, because quantum algorithms are often seen as being purely mathematical formulae, and as we know that, at least within Europe, mathematical methods cannot be protected by patent applications. Now, there is something quite interesting about quantum technology compared to traditional algorithms, and that is quantum algorithms are actually enabled by quantum effects such as superposition, such as entanglement, which does suggest that maybe we should be approaching the quantum technologies in a slightly different way than we would do previously. What we're also beginning to see, however, is also the adaptation of the hardware to these particular quantum algorithms, and I think that's very, very important as well. And that is something which I would say is almost unique to quantum technologies. We know that obviously software is quite important and in the modern science, but it's also this interaction between the software, the algorithms and the hardware, which makes patenting quantum technologies somewhat unique. There is a new standards body that's been set up, better said, there is a new standards committee, the JTC 22, if I remember rightly, that's been set up within Europe in order to try and standardize technology. Currently, they're really started only looking at the standardization of terminology, and this is then going to lead into international standardization. The next steps are actually going to be standardization of technologies, standardization of communications technologies, probably readout technologies as well. And that is where patents are going to play an absolutely major role in this field. And it has to be said, it's one of the areas where traditionally Europe has not been as strong, at least European research organizations have not been as strong as in other countries around the world. So one of the things I would be looking at and have been working at is discussing with research organizations the relationship between standards and the protection of intellectual property, so that we understand that yes, you can introduce your patented technology into the standardization process, but you have to then grant everybody coming to you a license on it. That can actually be quite valuable. There are companies out there that within the telecommunications field, for example, are earning substantial sums of money because of their licensed patent technologies. Optimizing the valorization, making certain that the protected intellectual property is crucial for the standard. And if I may just take an example which doesn't come from quantum technologies, but is actually the MP3 standards, which many people will have on their telephones, the older MP3 players. This was a technology that was basically developed by the Fraunhofer organization here in Germany and was patented by the Fraunhofer organization in Germany. Patents have now expired, they're over 20 years old. But during that 20 years, the Fraunhofer organization earned substantial amounts of money from licensing out the protocols to the MP3 standard.